Well. Looks like Minnie's haberdashery is about to get cozy for the next few days.
There are few films that are able to linger long after the credits roll. Few that make you feel almost suffocated.
So the name of the game here is patience.
Fortunately for Tarantino, there are also few directors quite like him.
They're always a stranger that comes into the situation. At some point, a dark, complicated past. And you don't know if it's true or not. It's a thing that kind of hangs over the character's head. And you actually almost have to watch to see if the guy's a good guy.
Are you sure you ain't just being paranoid?
Let me do a movie that stars nothing but those guys.
See, this is a film that doesn't just unfold, it unravels. Layer by layer, conversation by conversation.
4 measly bullets, and there goes Senor Bob.
Until you realize you've been sinking deeper into its world without even noticing. There's a kind of controlled chaos here, a slow motion disaster where the tension coils so tight that by the time the first shot is fired, it almost feels like a relief.
You starting to see pictures, ain't you? So what you gonna do, old man?
This isn't a film that rewards patience, it demands it.
Not so fast, Chris. We'll get there. Let's slow it down. Let's slow it way down.
And if you weren't prepared to sit with the paranoia, the deception, the sheer weight of all that unspoken violence,
I am calling you a liar, Senor Bob.
then it was never made for you to begin with. But The Hateful Eight isn't just a story about deception and survival, it's about fate. From the moment the stagecoach trudges through the Wyoming snow, we know there's no way out.
Kick it up on!
Tarantino isn't teasing a happy ending, he's marching his characters towards their own destruction.
47 men, burnt to a crisp.
That's what I joined the war to do.
One carefully measured step at a time. The inevitability of it is what makes it so hypnotic. We know it's going to end in blood. We know trust is a death sentence, and yet we watch it anyway, waiting for the first domino to fall. It's one of Tarantino's most divisive films. Some dismiss it as indulgent, too long, too contained.
Well, you like writing stories so much. Why don't you tell me the story that brings you here?
Others saw it as a masterclass in controlled chaos.
Music time's over.
And yet, despite this 3-hour runtime, despite its deliberately slow unraveling,
sat at the table by himself and drank brandy. Dom Ragu, however, hasn't moved from her spot at the community dinner table since John Ruth uncuffed her.
The Hateful Eight refuses to let go once it has its claws in you. It's a carefully constructed game where every move leads to disaster.
You open your mouth, you're gonna get a bullet. You move a little sudden, a little strange, you're gonna get a bullet. Not a warning, not a question, a bullet.
It's Tarantino at his most cynical, his most brutal, and perhaps his most brilliant. From the very first frame, The Hateful Eight establishes itself as something different. This isn't the sweeping, sun-drenched landscape of a classic western. Instead, we're met with an overwhelming sense of isolation. Snow blankets the ground, stretching endlessly in every direction. There's no warmth and no comfort. The world outside is a death sentence, a void swallowing everything in its path.
We got a cold damn blizzard that we're trying to beat to shelter.
I realize that.
And before we even meet our characters, Tarantino makes one thing clear: nobody is safe.
You raise both your hands way above your hat.
Real trusting fella, huh?
Not so much.
Ennio Morricone's haunting score only deepens that unease. Unlike his sweeping, triumphant work in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, or Once Upon a Time in the West, his music here is oppressive. It creeps under your skin, not guiding you towards adventure, but pulling you towards something sinister. There's a reason why his work on The Hateful Eight won him his long overdue Oscar.
Ringrazio l'Accademia per questo prestigioso riconoscimento.
Thank you, the Academy, for this prestigious acknowledgement.
It's not just music, it's an unspoken character, and a constant reminder that doom is just around the corner. And then there's the cabin. Minnie's haberdashery should feel like a refuge, a place of warmth in a frozen wasteland.
Well, make yourself comfortable. Get warm by the fire.
Instead, it feels more like a coffin. There's something off about that place from the moment the door slams shut.
Looks like Minnie's got her a full house.
The air is thick with mistrust, the walls are closing in, and Tarantino makes sure you feel it.
How am I supposed to know you're not a villain kidnapping this woman without a warrant in your possession?
What's your name, Buster?
At its core, it's a story about trust, or more accurately, the lack of it. Every character that steps into this haberdashery is playing their own game.
That still don't get us no closer to which one of y'all poisoned the coffee.
It was me. I poisoned the coffee.
Knew it!
Hiding their own secrets, waiting for the right moment to make their move.
Now, how long you say Minnie been gone? A week? So if Minnie is on the north side visiting her mama for a week, how she make the stew this morning?
But unlike other Tarantino films where the deception is flashy, The Hateful Eight thrives on its restraint. John Ruth fancies himself a righteous man, but his blind belief in his own moral compass makes him vulnerable. Major Marquise Warren is calculating, dangerous, and only interested in self-preservation. Daisy Domergue is the wild card, the caged animal waiting for the moment to tear everyone apart.
Who's this Daisy Domergue?
No damn good murdering that's who.
Chris Mannix plays the fool, but there's also something about him that feels too eager, too desperate.
Major Warren, please let me send this ugly son of a to hell.
And the rest, they're all telling the half-truth,
And she left you in charge.
See?
waiting to see who flinches first.
Are you calling me a liar?
Well, not yet,
Tarantino plays with our expectations masterfully. He traps us inside this one-room setting, forces us to sit in the tension, to question every line of dialogue.
How you doing, Black Major?
I ain't in the mood, Chris Mannix.
The Hateful Eight makes us stew in it. We don't know who's lying, but we know someone is.
Somebody poisoned the coffee.
How long you say you been working for Minnie?
4 months.
And by the time that poison takes effect, by the time blood starts pouring onto the wooden floors, we realize we were never supposed to solve the mystery. We were just supposed to watch the inevitable unfold. What makes this paranoia so unsettling is that it extends beyond the characters. Tarantino forces the audience into the same predicament. Who do we trust? Who do we believe?
Whoever is working with her ain't who they say they is.
Just as the characters constantly shift their allegiances, we as the viewers are constantly reevaluating where our sympathies lie. The moment we think we have a handle on things, the rug gets pulled from under us.
You just sit your ass in this chair and you don't do nothing.
And that's where this film thrives. Violence in Tarantino films have always walked a fine line between spectacle and consequence. In Pulp Fiction and Kill Bill, it's exaggerated and more stylish. But in The Hateful Eight, it's ugly, it's mean. It doesn't arrive with a bang. It slithers in, waiting for the right moment to strike. And when it does, it's not triumphant, it's disgusting. The vomit spewing, the blood gushing, the sheer brutality of it all, it's not meant to be fun. It's meant to be disturbing.
I'm sorry, honey.
Tarantino makes sure we feel every ounce of suffering, every betrayal, every bullet that rips through flesh. By the time the film reaches its grotesque climax, there's no glory in the carnage. There's only exhaustion.
Now that was a nice dance.
This film isn't about revenge or justice or even survival.
You keep talking, Pete. You gonna talk yourself to death.
It's about decay. It's about watching people destroy each other, not for noble reasons, but for greed, and for the simple fact that this world has no place for redemption. But the most unsettling part, it was all preventable. Had any of these characters set aside their hatred or their arrogance, things might have ended differently, but they never stood a chance. Their fates were sealed the moment they walked through that door, and Tarantino makes sure we know it. For all its carnage, The Hateful Eight is ultimately about cycles. The cycle of violence, the cycle of deception, the cycle of hate that keeps spinning and never breaking. There's no redemption in this film because it was never about that. It was about inevitability.
We are still gonna be facing John Ruth, chained to my sister with a pistol pointed at her belly.
The American Civil War might have ended, but its ghosts linger in every conversation.
We could say that the fireplace side of the room, a symbolic representative of Georgia, while the bar represents Philadelphia.
The deep-rooted distrust, the lingering prejudice, The way every character carries the scars of the past.
It was cold the day I killed your boy.
General Smithers, don't you listen to him? He didn't know your boy.
It's all there, festering beneath the surface. In the final moments, as the two last survivors bleed out side by side, there's a sense of grim satisfaction. Not because justice has been served, there is no justice here, but because, in this world, the only way to break the cycle is to let it consume you. And as the snow continues to fall, as the cabin fades into silence, we realize that maybe, just maybe, the real horror of the Hateful Eight isn't the violence. It's that we saw it coming all along, and there was never anything we could do to stop it.